It is a perfect day here in Washington, D.C. Perfect for a big election, because that's what it is. And you said it right there. It is really the coronavirus election, because the virus is really going to decide the outcome, whichever way it goes. Huge queues of voters have turned out right across the country. But of course, it depends on where you are in the United States at the moment, because some 100 million Americans had already cast their votes before today. So there are long queues in places and short queues in other places, and that's going to continue right up until the early afternoon Australian time, when those polls do close. As for the candidates, well, it was a busy, frantic finish for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Trump finished his last campaign rally in the state of Michigan last night at around about 1:30 in the morning. Then he hopped onto Air Force One, didn't get home here at the White House until about 3 a.m. Had a few hours sleep, then got up and did some breakfast television while he phoned in some of his interviews. And then, like you said there, he went to Arlington, Virginia to go to one of his campaign headquarters to thank staff for the work that they're doing. And here he is.
Winning is easy. Losing is never easy. Not for me, it's not. But I think we have. When you see rallies, the likes of which in the history of this country, probably in the history of the world, nobody's ever seen before. There's a tremendous love going on in this country, and there's really a tremendous unity. There's a tremendous unity. Nobody's ever seen that, where you take an airport, and the airport's not big enough to hold the crowds. Nobody's ever seen a thing like that. And our opposition, as you know, would have a few people sitting in circles, and that's okay. That's not abnormal. That's not abnormal, actually. I mean, that's the way it is. But we would get crowds of 50,000 people, 45,000 people, more. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. So it was an honor.
Yeah, either way you look at it, it was an incredible finish by Donald Trump. He did some 40-odd rallies just over the past few weeks of the campaign, way more than Joe Biden did, or more than Joe Biden needed to do. As for the Democratic contender, he was in his home state of Delaware today. He went to church this morning, then he went to see the grave of his late son, Beau, and then he did a little bit of campaigning. He went to his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and there he was questioned by a few reporters, and he spoke about receiving the first 5 votes that were up for grabs in a very small town of New Hampshire.
It feels good, but you know, you got to run through the tape, man. You got to go all the way through the tape. There's a place in New Hampshire called Dixville Notch, and they always look at it and see who wins Dixville. We're the first person, I'm told, to win it unanimously. All 5 votes. So based on Trump's notion, I'm going to declare victory right now. You know what I mean? They voted, so it's over.
So there you go, the first 5 votes underway. There's only about another 130, 140 million votes to count, and that's going to take some time. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it does depend on which part of the country you are at when you go to polling stations today to see how long you might be there for. There are some very long queues getting about. We went to a couple of different polling stations, not just here in Washington, D.C. We crossed the border into Maryland to take a look at a few there as well. And there was basically more media there than there were actually voters. It was in and out. Voters could be done within just a couple of minutes. So I did manage to speak to a few of them, and here is what they had to say.
I'll be glad when it's in, you know.
What influenced your decision today?
Oh, everything that's going on.
I feel excited. I feel like in order to incite change, you have to let your voice be heard and you have to vote. So, you know, we have to do our part. You know, so many of our black ancestors died for our rights, and so we have to do our part.
Biden then, I'm guessing?
Yeah. Go Kamala.
I voted for Biden. It's just that neither one of them, I feel as though neither one of them going to do anything for the blacks. But it's just that Biden is a lesser evil. That's why I'm voting for him.
Yeah, so this section of the country around here, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, all fairly safe Biden territory, as you could tell there. So that's what's happening here at the moment. Danica, Kentucky and Indiana are going to be the first states to close. That's going to be somewhere around 11 a.m. Sydney time, and then the counting begins there.